Have you ever laid awake at 3 a.m., frustrated and exhausted, wondering why you just can't get a full night's sleep anymore? You make the trip to the bathroom, again and again, each time hoping it's the last, but somehow the night feels longer than the day. Maybe you feel pressure in your lower belly that wasn't there a few years ago. Or maybe you started sensing that something just feels off down there, but you don't talk about it because you figure it's just part of aging. But what if I told you something different? Something most men over 60 never hear. What if I told you that the real problem isn't just your prostate, but what you're doing at night that's quietly making things worse? Hi, I'm someone who has listened to countless older men share the same private frustrations, embarrassment, sleep loss, discomfort, and that nagging fear that things might get worse. And I can tell you with full confidence, the reason so many seniors struggle with prostate issues at night isn't just age. It's habit. Yes, habit. In this video, we're diving into 5 specific nighttime mistakes, things that might seem small or harmless, that are quietly putting pressure on your prostate, making it harder for you to sleep through the night, and keeping your bladder in a constant state of tension. These aren't myths. They're patterns I've seen over and over in men who thought they were doing everything right. Men who took care of themselves, stayed active, watched what they ate, but still found themselves waking up 4 or 5 times a night, wondering what went wrong. And here's the most frustrating part. Most of these habits feel like common sense. Drinking water to stay hydrated, having a comforting dinner, lying in your favorite sleeping position, skipping that last bathroom trip because you don't really need to go. These things don't feel dangerous. But to an aging prostate, they're small forms of pressure that add up night after night until your body just can't cope anymore. The good news? There's a way back. You don't need a lifetime of medications, and you certainly don't need to accept restless nights as your new normal. What you do need is awareness and a willingness to change just a few things starting tonight. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand what these 5 habits are, you'll also know how to gently reverse the damage they've done. You might be surprised how quickly your body responds when you finally stop fighting it and start listening. It all starts with one night, maybe tonight. Let's get started. If you're a man in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s, and you find yourself waking up more than once each night to use a bathroom, you're not alone. Maybe you've noticed a growing pressure in your lower belly, or a sense that your bladder never fully empties. Some men even describe a dull ache they can't quite place or an underlying tension that makes deep sleep feel just out of reach. It's easy to chalk it up to just getting older. But what if that wasn't the full story? What if these symptoms weren't just about age, but about routine? Specifically, what you do in the final hours of the day. The little habits that seem harmless, even healthy, might actually be sending your prostate into overdrive while you sleep. Over the years, I've heard men quietly admit their frustration. I'm doing everything right. Drinking water, staying active, eating decent meals. So why am I still waking up 5 times a night? The truth is, many prostate issues aren't caused by what you're missing. They're caused by what you keep doing without realizing the impact. In this video, we'll uncover 5 specific nighttime habits that are quietly working against your prostate health. These aren't exaggerated warnings. They're backed by medical insight and years of experience with men who unknowingly made things worse just by sticking to routine. Thankfully, these habits are easy to fix, and the relief can be dramatic. Let's start with the first, the most innocent mistake of all. 1. Drinking too much water before bed. It's no secret that hydration is essential, especially as you age. Every doctor will tell you to drink more water to support your kidneys, digestion, circulation, and energy levels. But what they often don't emphasize is when you drink, it matters just as much as how much. Here's what most men don't realize. Drinking a large amount of water in the evening, especially an hour or 2 before bed, places extra burden on a system that's already under pressure. As men age, the prostate naturally grows. Even small increases in size can pinch the urethra, the tube that carries urine out of the body, slowing the flow and making it harder to fully empty your bladder. When you add a large glass of water to that system right before bedtime, you set off a chain reaction. The bladder fills, the prostate resists, and your brain gets a message, wake up now. And it doesn't happen once. It happens again and again. What's worse, this cycle isn't just annoying, it's inflammatory. Every time your body is forced to wake up, respond, and strain to urinate through an already narrow channel, you're adding micro-stress to your prostate. I remember speaking with a man named Walter, 82, who believed in flushing his system before sleep. Every night, he drank 2 tall glasses of water before bed. He hadn't slept through the night in 15 years. After gently adjusting his schedule, front-loading hydration earlier in the day, tapering off by 6 p.m., and sipping instead of guzzling in the evening, he began waking just once per night instead of 4 or 5 times. He said, "I always thought it was my prostate. Turns out it was my schedule. Small shift, big change." 2. Eating salty or processed foods at night. For many men, dinner is the most satisfying part of the day, a time to unwind with comfort food. That might mean a bowl of canned soup, some frozen lasagna, or a plate of cold cuts and crackers while watching TV. Simple, familiar, easy, but those convenient meals often come loaded with sodium and chemical preservatives, and your prostate isn't a fan. Here's why. Sodium makes your body retain fluids. During the day, that extra fluid stays in your tissues. But once you lie down, your body shifts into restoration mode and tries to rebalance. The kidneys begin pulling that retained fluid out. Where does it go? Into your bladder. And with an enlarged prostate standing between that bladder and freedom, you're in for another rough night. But it doesn't stop there. Processed foods don't just increase urination. They keep your nervous system on. The artificial additives, MSG, and nitrates interfere with deep sleep cycles. Your pelvic muscles stay partially engaged, and your prostate remains tense when it should be relaxing. I once worked with a 76-year-old retired engineer named Glenn. He couldn't understand why he was getting up 6 times a night despite barely drinking in the evening. When we looked closer, his dinners were packed with sodium. Canned chili, pre-packaged ramen, salty trail mix. Within a week of switching to home-cooked, plant-rich meals, he began sleeping 3 to 4 hours straight. His words, "I thought I had a bladder problem. Turns out I had a pantry problem." A lighter, cleaner dinner could be one of the simplest ways to give your prostate a break and your body a deeper night's rest. 3. Ignoring the urge to urinate during the night. It happens to all of us. You wake up at 2:30 a.m., feel a slight urge, but tell yourself, "It's not that bad. I'll wait till morning." You roll over and try to fall back asleep, but that delay may be doing more harm than you think, especially if you're over 60. When urine stays in the bladder too long, the bladder walls stretch and lose elasticity. This not only makes future emptying more difficult, it also increases internal pressure, and that pressure pushes directly back onto prostate. Men with enlarged prostates already struggle with reduced flow. When they ignore the urge to urinate, they're creating a backup system, one that promotes inflammation, slows drainage, and makes the entire area more sensitive. There's also a risk of bacteria thriving in stagnant urine, which can lead to frequent urges, discomfort, and infections. Leonard, 81, was the perfect example. He told me, "I only get out of bed if I'm desperate." But every morning, he felt bloated and drained. Once he started getting up as soon as he felt the urge, he noticed better morning flow, less pressure, and a surprising sense of ease. "I thought the extra sleep would help. Turns out, holding it was costing me more than I realized," he said. The body doesn't send signals for fun. It sends them to protect you. When it tells you to go, go, not out of fear, but out of respect for what your body is trying to do. 5. Skipping the final trip to the bathroom before bed. It's a simple habit and often overlooked. Go in the bathroom right before getting into bed, even if the urge feels mild. But this small act could be the key to a better night's rest and less pressure on your prostate. Going to bed with a partially full bladder means that urine sits in your system for hours while you sleep. That mild pressure builds slowly and can irritate both the bladder and the prostate. Worse, residual urine can become a breeding ground for bacteria, especially if your bladder doesn't fully empty in the morning. Peter, 69, told me he never felt the need to go before bed, so he didn't bother. But he started waking more at night and found it harder to fully empty in the mornings. Once he started making the trip, no matter what, Things change quickly. I thought I was being efficient. Turns out I was just storing stress, he said. Make that last trip to the bathroom part of your routine. It's like resetting the system, telling your body, we're done for the day. Even a small release can prevent bigger problems later. As we wrap up, I want to speak to you directly, not just as someone sharing information, but as someone who truly cares about your quality of life. For so many men over 60, dealing with prostate issues becomes a quiet burden. You start waking up more often at night. You feel pressure, discomfort, or the nagging sensation that you're never quite empty. It's easy to shrug it off, to say, it's just part of getting older. But what if it isn't just age? What if the things you're doing every night, habits you've had for years, are making things worse without you even knowing it? Today we talk about 5 seemingly harmless habits. Drinking too much water too late, eating salty or processed foods before bed, holding in your urine during the night, sleeping in positions that compress your pelvic area, and skipping that final bathroom trip. These aren't dramatic issues. They don't make headlines, but they quietly and consistently strain your body, irritate your prostate, and keep you locked in a cycle of interrupted sleep and frustrating symptoms. The good news is your body wants to heal. It just needs a chance. And that chance starts with you being aware, really aware, of what you're doing when the day winds down. You don't need pills, expensive supplements, or complicated routines. Sometimes, all it takes is adjusting when you drink your water, swapping out that processed dinner, honoring the urge to pee instead of ignoring it, or sleeping in a position that lets your body breathe and release pressure. These are small shifts, but when done consistently, they create real change. Imagine waking up only once a night instead of 4 times. Imagine feeling light, not tight, in your lower belly. Imagine being able to rest without the constant worry of whether you'll make it to the bathroom in time. These aren't pipe dreams. For many men, they're entirely within reach, just by giving your prostate the respect and care it deserves. So tonight, before you go to bed, pause. Think about your routine. Is there something you can do differently? Just one thing? Try it. Give your body a chance to speak back to you, not in pain or urgency, but in peace. Because you deserve rest. You deserve relief. And you deserve to wake up feeling strong, clear, and in control. Which of these 5 habits spoke to you the most? Have you noticed yourself doing any of them without thinking? We'd love to hear your story in the comments, because your experience might help another man out there who feels just as confused or frustrated as you once did. Together, we can create a space where aging doesn't mean giving up on comfort or dignity. It means getting smarter, taking control, and living better with every passing year. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you found this message helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Your support allows us to keep creating meaningful content for older adults who deserve to feel seen, understood, and supported. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. Rest well, and take care of yourself.